Hello, welcome to In Conversation with Denita Dinger, from Play Counts, for a chat in the shack for our September conversation. Welcome. Just introduce yourself, say who you are, where you come from, and basically your why. That's why we're doing this. Your why.
All right. First of all, I'm absolutely honored, Vanessa, and I've already told you. I think I told you that several times. So I'm really excited to be in the shack. And you guys, the shack is the cutest little thing ever. But my name is Denita Dinger, and I'm from South Dakota in the USA. I live in Sioux Falls, which is on the. If you've ever been to South Dakota, you've got Mount Rushmore, the pretty side of the state. I live on the opposite side of the state, so we don't have the hills and those things, but we've got really good people. So that is where I'm from. I'm a mom. I have two children who are both off to college now, so I've stopped crying. My youngest went in August, and then my oldest went right at the beginning of September, and I had about 1 week where I really, really missed them, and then I embraced the clean house, and I've moved forward. So that's where I'm at with that. I have a wonderful husband, and I am a play school teacher. And I also am a consultant speaker on the topic of letting children play. And it cracks me up. I just got back last week, and I spoke up in Edmonton in Canada. And, getting across, going through customs, they're always like, well, what is your purpose? What are you going to be doing here? And I tell them, I'm coming to Canada to speak to teachers. Oh, well, what do you speak about? And I'd say, I remind them that children need to play. And their faces just brighten. And they're like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, can you believe it? That's what I do for a living. I remind people that children need to play. And that's what I do. Yeah. And my why, the whole reason I do what I do and I believe so strongly in it is because I didn't used to.
Oh, wow.
I used to see play, Vanessa, as something children did to get energy out.
Yeah.
So then I could teach them. So before I had my play school, I was a family child care program, and my program was based around a preschool program, because that's what my goal always was to have a preschool program. And but to get that started, I started as family child care, but I just provided care for children that were in that kind of preschool age group. And I was deadly afraid of being known as the babysitter that just let children play. Right? Because what a slap in the face that would be. And where I live, you are a babysitter, or back then. The profession has risen much. I mean, this was back in 1998, so things have changed dramatically, thank goodness. But back then, I was a babysitter, but I didn't want to be I was a preschool teacher. This was a preschool program. So children played to get energy out. Then they would come to me, and I would teach them everything that they needed to know. And my why began, or my aha moment, my big change began when I heard Bev Boz. Are you guys familiar with Bev Boz over in Europe? So here in the States, Bev Boz is the queen. In my opinion, she's the queen of letting the children lead their learning. She coined the phrase, the children are the curriculum. And when I first heard her speak, I was appalled. This woman was challenging everything I knew to be true about how children learned. Everything I did, she said the complete opposite.
Wow.
I was just mortified. I'm like, no, there can't be any way possible that I'm doing that many things wrong. And but we didn't jive on anything. And the one thing that stood out the most to me from hearing Bev that first time is that she let children paint themselves. And I'm looking around, there's 1,000 people in this room. I'm looking around for other people who are just like squished faced and, are you kidding me? This woman lets children paint themselves? Clearly she does drugs, is what I'm thinking, because, she's from California, and everybody does drugs in California, right? Kidding. If you're from California, kidding, totally kidding. But I'm like, this woman is off her rocker. Who would let children paint themselves? Well, that Bev, even though I did not want to like her, and I hated everything she had to say because it challenged what I knew to be true, she planted a seed, and I was never the same again. She suggested that I pay attention when children are playing. What? When children were playing, I was getting materials ready for circle time. I was gathering my props and getting my apples ready and, to do our theme and all those things. They were just playing. I didn't need to pay attention to that. That first day back in my program, I started paying attention to their play. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. I had no idea all these ideas were going on in their play. And then I realized, boy, there's no reason to stop their play, because what I have planned is not better than what they're doing on their own. In fact, I could have never thought to do what they're doing on their own. And one aha moment after another aha moment after another aha moment, and years of really hard work on myself, on biting my tongue, letting children struggle, letting them own failures, letting them own emotions, all those things that I used to stifle up in a little box and not let happen in my program because I was always preventing those things. You know, preventative classroom management, you just don't let the bad things happen. Then you don't have to worry about classroom management, right? So that, I mean, just a whole lot of things. And suddenly children were empowered, and children were more brilliant than I'd ever seen them before. They were learning much, much more than letters, numbers, those kinds of things. They were learning how to solve problems. They were learning how to work together. They were learning how to ask for what they need. They were learning how to express themselves with words. They were learning that an adult actually respected their ideas and let them lead, and I followed. And one thing just led to another, and I just feel there's so many teachers out there that resonate with my story, who ran a real rigid program, who, you know, hey, it's time for writing, it's time for this, it's time for that, it's time for this, and don't see value in that free play, that and I hate the term free play, because play by definition is free. But don't see the value in that. And so that's my why, is just empowering educators, empowering parents, empowering anybody that has young children in their lives to empower children, to help them embrace the learning power that is in play, that if we just pause and follow the lead of a child, that child is going to have all the skills that they're going to need for much more than kindergarten. That's the other thing too. It's about so much more than just kindergarten. It's about life. It's not just kindergarten skills that we should be focused on with young children. It's perseverance. It's the teamwork, the social side of things, all those skills that a child needs for the rest of their life. So there.
That's that is amazing. I want to bottle you. I'm take you to every setting that I go into. And I say when I deliver training, I say we're so het up on this tick box exercise that we need to make sure that they've got this area covered of the learning, and you know, the EYFS and all of that, and make sure, and I know why they're doing it. I understand why they're doing it, because they've got an inspection looming and they want to prove that they're doing it right. However, if you take a step back, and I say for a week, don't do any observations, just watch, see where the children are, see what they go to, see what they play with, see how they learn to negotiate with each other, see those skills, those critical thinking skills, you know, the cogs go round.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, the thing is, you know, I've come to actually almost despise the word learning activity or learning activities, because that implies that we're not always learning. And I beg to differ. When you stop and think about your life, is there anything, any moment where you're not learning? We are constantly learning from every choice we make, everything we do. And I think adults need to realize, you know, and maybe it's humbling for an adult to understand and to accept the fact that, oh, maybe children don't need us quite as much as we think they do. You know, that perhaps that in everything a child, literally everything they decide to do, there is value in it. You know, I think we think that learning needs to be this big fancy thing, and learning sometimes is just this quiet moment of a child sitting in the grass, feeling the tickle of that texture, and taking in the world around them. That is learning. I mean, it can be so simple. You know, I have a friend of mine that says, well, this child doesn't do anything. Right now, all they do is suck their thumb. And I'm like, well, right now, that's what that child needs. That child has discovered how to soothe themselves. Yeah. That child maybe needs that sensory right now, but that brain, it's chugging along. Those eyes are taking in everything. Those ears are taking in everything. They're just little sponges. And I just think people think it needs to be this big production, and it really doesn't have to be.
Yeah, and their brain, and they never fail at being curious, do they? Never. No. They're learning constantly.
Yeah, it is such it's a natural thing. And if you just really pause and see what children gravitate towards, you know, one of the big differences in my program is before children would come in and they'd say, Denita, what are we going to do today? And now when children come in, I greet them and I say, what are you going to do today? What's your plan? And I use those terms a lot. What's your plan? And so children will literally make plans. They'll have ideas already. If I change the environment drastically over a weekend or overnight, I will a lot of times send a picture to my families so that they can give their child a heads up. Hey, this is what school looks like for tomorrow. This is what's out. Danita wants you to see it, so then you can start making your plan of what you think you might want to do.
I love that. What is your plan?
Yeah. Oh, and it's amazing because it works in so many different ways. So, for example, you know how we are. We as adults, you can't help it but set materials out, and we have ideas that we think children might do with these materials, right? But when a child goes and does something that is out of our wheelbox that we did not see coming, a lot of times adults have a tendency to go, whoa, 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 that's not okay. When really, if you just stop and think about it, are they hurting anyone? Are they hurting anything? If the answer to both of those questions is no, but you're still curious, I'll step in and I'll just say, what's your plan? What are you doing here? And that gives that child a moment to pause and stop their body. Hello, self-regulation, right? This is how you develop self-regulation. Pause, think ahead. Well, gee, what am I doing? What is my plan? And then if you're thinking as the adult that you can still see, oh, this might end up bad, this might hurt someone, you can continue talking it through to the child, but it comes across to the child as you respecting their ideas because you started out with, well, tell me about what you're doing. What's your plan? Okay, what do you think is going to happen if you, I use a lot of rain gutters in my program. Rain gutters are big. And sometimes I'll see kids just, heading off to where they're going, just turning quickly, carrying this great big rain gutter or whatever. I'll be like, whoa, now if you turn that fast, who's right over there? What do you think might happen here? Or, whatever. It just gives you that opportunity, opens up that conversation. But at the core of it is respecting the child and their plan. That's the first thing. But it helps that child pause, stop their body, think ahead, and then express with words all skills that are extremely important, lifelong skills. Yeah. Just from one simple question: what's your plan?
I love that.
I love it too. I've seen so much empowerment, and I hear the children leprechauns is a big deal in my program, and anymore it can happen any time of the year because there's always some little shred of something green in a crevice of a shelf or whatever, and they find that they're like, oh, Danita, the leprechaun's been here, and it'll open up this whole can of worms of leprechauns. So it was one year in January. I had a group of boys who were using tape in the dollhouse, and they were building traps using the tape. And it's one of my favorite little video clips because so many times I hear, and then I've got a plan. You guys, here's my plan. And then they're predicting the outcome, and then he'll walk up this, and if he's smart, he'll slide down here and he'll get trapped. And then another child will chime in, and then we'll come to school and we'll get his gold. And they're, all this planning, but I hear that word, and then I've got a plan. I just think it's empowering. And I think throughout life, you need a plan. Sometimes you're going to reach struggles in life where you need to stop and go, okay, wait a minute, I need a plan here. It just very simple.
I think it's really interesting. Yeah, we plan here, we plan activities for the day. However, if we said to the children, what's our plan for tomorrow? Let's see, we can do that because you're getting them using the brain, and the brain's like a muscle. It's wastes away if you don't use it. That. If nobody, every day's a learning day. For me, if I, this morning I went to a conference and learned something, and I was like, wow, oh my goodness. And actually that's what we need to be encouraging them to be using that brain.
Oh yeah, and give them that ownership. Yes, every day. So I post plan. So my plan is very loose. My plan is how I'm setting the environment, not what is going to happen in the environment.
Yeah.
My plan is simply the materials that I'm going to put, the way I'm going to organize, and the shelving and everything. And I've come to realize too that within 5 minutes of them coming in the morning, a lot of times that gets changed to adapt to their day and what they're thinking for that day. But it doesn't happen until the end of today, So for example, my boys and girls will come tomorrow morning, and at the end of our time together, it depends. Sometimes we will sit down and I'll say, okay, do you want the same things out for tomorrow? What do you think? Other days, they've so obviously led me into places that we don't need to have that conversation. So it just depends. Or they've led me to know that, they need more experiences with this. I need more opportunities. So, for example, if I see a lot of independent play, but not a lot of teamwork, not a lot of social side of things, I will set the environment with great big materials. Like I have 10-foot cardboard tubes and big things that there's no way they can play with it without teamwork.
Yeah.
They have to ask for a friend to help them move something or whatever. So, now I totally lost my train of thought, but
no, I'm just thinking, your why is amazing, and I wish I could bottle you and literally share you, and I'm hoping.
I just wish I could listen to you all day long. Your accent, I just love it, Vanessa. I don't know, do we Americans just sound really flat to you guys and boring?
I sound like a Hampshire hog. It's not great.
No, you sound like story time. Just quick off topic here, but we're big Disney people. We go to Disney World a lot. And I was there one time and I heard this British mom say, "Would you please shut up?" And I'm like, oh my goodness, it sounds like story time when she says it. If I said it, they'd be calling DHS and reporting me for child abuse. But when she says it, I want to pull up a chair and snuggle up to her.
I'm not sure my children would say that to me.
They're very lucky.
Yeah. So your why is so powerful. Where do you want it to take you? Where are you going? When you go to a job interview and they say to you, so where do you see yourself in 5 years?
You know what, Vanessa? I really feel very, very blessed to say I want to be exactly where I am in 5 years. I love everything that I do so very much. So before 2014, I ran a 50-hour-a-week family childcare program. I was co-authoring 3 books, raising 2 children, loving a wonderful husband, all those things, this juggling act, and then speaking about 20 events a year. So you can imagine this juggling act I had going on. Well, then my dad got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And January, actually on my birthday is when we found out that he was sick, and he passed away that year in June. And that was life-changing for me. And that was my aha moment, that seize the moment. Today is the now. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. And so that's when I closed my family child care program, reopened as Kaleidoscope Play School, which I am right now, where I have children with me 3 mornings a week. And so then now I have 100% of me goes to my children when they're here for those 3 hours. Then my afternoons, 100% of me goes to my Facebook posts, to my blog, to consulting, emailing people. Typically weekends is when I speak. 100% of me can go to that. I've found balance. I wouldn't add anything, and I don't want to take anything away. I'm so blessed to have families that understand that I both need children, but I also need the side of feeling like I'm empowering other educators so that more children can be empowered. You know what I mean? So I continue exactly where I'm at. I have goals of continually learning. I think in 5 years, I want to still be open to learning from other people. That's my biggest fear, is ever closing off learning. Do you know what I mean? I never want to get to a point where I don't want to learn anymore. I want to always be learning, and I always want to be feeling the joy. And so I think that would be my 5-year goal, is to still be feeling the joy, and that if I'm not, recognize that and make changes. Because like what I learned in 2014 is tomorrow's not guaranteed. Life's too short to not feel the joy. I feel very, very fortunate that I don't ever work. I really, truly don't feel like I ever work. Aside from paperwork, all the paperwork that's involved in the different things I do. But otherwise, it's just 100% pure joy, pure passion. And so, and I just want to continue right where I'm at.
You have to keep continuing because you're amazing.
Well, thank you, Vanessa.
And you actually remind me of, I know you've been in conversation with Sally Wright from the art groups.
Yeah, I can't wait to
actually remind me of her. That there's 2 of you. You should have a Zoom call, 2 of you together. It would be amazing.
I would love that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She seems so passionate. Yeah.
Very much so.
I love her. And she's one of those people too. Like, I think I'm correctly interpreting when she comments on Facebook. Like she just shines through her words. Yeah.
Yes. And it is all about play and children learning. It's what they.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
about the end product. It's
and you know, another piece of my why, really, Vanessa, I don't know what our time is here. I'm sorry if I'm getting too long, but I used to feel so stressed. When you put all that thought and time into these in-depth lesson plans, and then the children don't like it like you think they will, I remember being so disheartened. And I would take that just so personally, and so, oh, but you guys, and so then I would try to force them to like it, and it was exhausting. And when they wouldn't listen to me, I thought, oh, I have behavior issues. Instead, I just had children who wanted to be innovative on their own. They didn't want to listen to me and do what I wanted to do. And so one of the big things I've noticed since I've changed my philosophy is this huge drop in stress. It's just, I wake up in the morning, and as far as my children are concerned, when they come to my program, I don't have any expectations of how our morning will go. I don't have any expectations. I literally, it's just, I meet them exactly where they are on that day, and we move forward, you know, and it's just, and that's what I want for other people to see too, and to enjoy just that. I see so many stressed out people in the field of early childhood education.
Yeah, me too.
And parents so stressed because they think they need to be having their children in all these activities, and I want them to breathe and relax and say, put them in the backyard, let them play.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I could talk to you for hours, honestly, hours.
Oh, I'm hating that there's an ocean between us, Vanessa, because now I want to go for lunch. I only have supper for you, right?
Yeah.
Or what do you call it? What do you call it? Is it supper there? Your evening meal or dinner?
Dinner.
Dinner, okay.
Well, actually, if you're posh, it'll be supper. But I'm not posh, it's dinner.
Okay, yeah, I love that. All right.
And you've had breakfast, am I right?
Yes, and my coffee was in that shake, so thank you for letting me finish that.
I do try and help every now and then, you know. So we're going to finish this recording, but thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Vanessa. This has been so much fun.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.